So do you think a solution of structural change, like how much more comfortable would we feel as business owners and public of the UK if the government had to have like quarterly meetings with the five fastest growing UK owned businesses in the UK, and the owners and directors of those businesses had influence of change in government? Like what does the economy need?
I actually had an idea for this, Jack, when because I was speaking with one of the guys at Restore Britain, for which is a new political party, and my thinking is that a party should have basically like an affiliate program with SME businesses across every borough in the UK where they're up for election, almost like having ambassadors within a local constituents that support the local party, because then they're getting that grassroots fed feedback from on the ground economic impacts to SMEs, which drive the entire UK economy straight into the local constituents that feed back to the larger morass of what that party is. And I think it should be policy that every party has to have at least three on their repertoire for every constituents that they operate within, and then annually, all of those business SMEs get to contribute to policy decisions around policies that directly impact SMEs, like make conjoin the party, the political establishment, and the private sector.
I think they already do that.
Yeah, and I know they've got ways of doing it at the moment in terms of like having committees and advisory councils and things like that. But I think they should make it a direct, like the infrastructure should be layered in such a way where the party can only make decisions not just based on the MPs, but based on the SMEs as well and their thought process, their decision making, and that's what should be put to the floor in the House of Commons. And I just think we create a synergy between the two.
If you look at how planning works, so the district make the rules. Sorry, the nation make the rules, which is planning law. The district takes the application, and then the parish can share their views, and the public can share their views, and all of this is almost amalgamated into a decision, and then a decision is made. But that's not how bigger decisions like government changes are really made. Obviously, the election is a slightly different to that because it is publicly driven to some degree. But there's no, exactly like you say, there's no consideration of all walks of life. And the difficulty we'll always have is welfare. You know, it kind of trumps economic growth. The priority is always going to be around welfare. And that's where it gets difficult because if you want to build a house and there's no house there at the moment, it's just kind of like the view, the approach, traffic, but when it's coming to people's lives, it's very difficult to make a commercial decision. It's a bit like, I won't genderize because we'll get in trouble. But if you have a household where there is someone that is commercially minded and someone that's emotionally minded, hopefully
Oh,
they collaborate on
who's the emotional
decisions.
one? Yeah?
It's definitely me. Yeah. Hopefully, there's an aggregation of the emotion and commercials, and a good balanced decision is made. In some houses, it might be more emotionally decided. Some houses, it might be more commercially minded. But I feel like if you lean too much towards the emotion, you don't build continuity of value in a household. You know, you make decisions irrationally.
I agree with what your principle there. I agree with it. The issue is the scale of it. And I actually think there's a simpler solution. At the family nuclear level, you're absolutely right. It's a democratic decision between what may be, the worker who's providing for the family and the one who's supporting the emotions of the family. We need to go on some holidays because the kids are stressed and things like that. Like that works at a family nucleus. At a government level, it will just fucking never, ever, ever work because that's not how societal fabric's built. It worked when the government did less. When the government did less and less and less, the impact, the ripple effects of their decisions were fine because the family nucleus still had sovereignty. They still were able to control how their kids were raised, what schools they went to, their behaviour. But because the government's got more and more and more involved, it's now so hard for that family nucleus to make sovereign decisions because they get, you can't, spank your child without being getting accused of abuse and like all that kind of stuff. And I'm not saying that that's the perfect example for why they should have sovereignty, but because the government's got so involved, it's impossible to now cater for social good because a government just can't do that in the limit. So a government should step back away from that and let the people just decide and be free. Like the tribal, innate human beings that we are, we should be able to just make those decisions without a government nanny state going, oh, no, you can't do that. Because if you do that, what that is this regulation or that law.
Oh, you can't call Margaret fat on Facebook.
Yeah.
You
Or
can't.
you'll be fired, or it's a HR
You're
issue.
going to go to prison. You are. She's not
Yeah.
fat. Look at her.
She's wobbly.
She's just bubbly.
So